ACC basketball is being brought to you by Pepsi, by Verizon Wireless, by your Carolina Chrysler dealers, by Bud Light, by RBC Bank, by Gillette Fusion, and by Food Lion.
ACC basketball presented in high definition. We're available by MFS Investment Management. A diverse range of products so advisors can choose what fits. Rain falling outside, but there is some heat inside. Come on inside for what should be a terrific matchup. The number 1 seed against the number 4 seed. Number 1 team in the nation against 2 top 25s. And the 2 played regular season game, and it was decided by 3 points. Welcome inside, everybody. Tim Brand along with Mike Jaminski. What do we expect out of this one, Mike?
Well, I'll tell you what, without Ty Lawson, North Carolina's going to have their hands full because Florida State gave them everything they wanted in that first game. They did everything but win that game, and it took a miraculous shot by Lawson at the end to give the Tar Heels the victory.
Take us through the 4 keys to the game. Let's zero in on some things.
Well, for Florida State, size matters, and most importantly, inside and how they handled Tyler Hansbrough. They held him under double figures in that game. And again, for North Carolina, in the absence of Ty Lawson, manufacturing some easy points. They only got 5 fast break points yesterday. They have to find a way to get out and get some offense.
Let's get the scoop and check in with Scott Przewalski. Scott?
Well, Tim, the North Carolina coaches will tell you they think Florida State is one of, if not the best defensive team they faced all year long. They forced the Tar Heels into 21 turnovers, a season high, 12 of which were off of steals, and that was with Ty Lawson. So that puts so much more pressure, I think, today on guys like Ellington, Green, Larry Drew II, and Frazier to control the basketball because you know the Noles want to turn you over and get out into transition.
All right, Scott, let's take a look at our Food Lion starting lineups. The participants. And Florida State, Singleton, Etchefu, Olive, Kitchen, and Douglas. Kitchen hit the game-winning shot yesterday. And for Carolina, well, Lawson is out. He scored 21 against Florida State January 28th. Thompson, Green, Hansbrough, Ellington, and everybody will be watching Bobby Frazier, who's taken Lawson's place. The officials, Jamie Lucky, Brian Kersey, and Sean Hall. Opening tip, and it'll belong to Florida State. Florida State dressed in black. They don't wear that very often, but the players went to Leonard Hamilton and said, Coach, we want to wear black. Meanwhile, Roy Williams getting the explanation of why that ball was tipped before it reached its pinnacle.
Well, actually, it was more a violation on Ellington on that play and stealing the tip than anything.
So here we go. Florida State has it first. Florida State built a 13-point lead in the first half against Carolina when they met during the regular season, and Olive's jump hook puts them on the board.
One of the things they did was they put pressure on Tyler Hansbrough. He had 3 fouls in that first half, but played limited minutes, and clearly they want to try to attack him early.
There's a turnover. First turnover of the game by the Tar Heels. Douglas, nice crossover, takes it in with the big fellas, and banks in a tough shot.
Wow, what a terrific start for Florida State defensively, getting it done, very efficient on the offensive end. A lot of confidence.
Frazier takes it to the hoop, has his shot blocked. Florida State's out and running. Here comes Douglas. Right side, Kitchen, yes sir. And just like that, the Noles are out of the gate 6-0.
Wow, what a well-run break by Florida State. And Tony Douglas just waiting that extra count to give Kitchen a good layup. Here's the play inside. No double teaming. They're going to let Hansbrough play him one up inside. Nice little jump hook. And then Tony Douglas, a little stutter step going right around Danny Green, and the tough finish taking the body of Tyler Hansbrough.
Foul was on Chris Singleton. That's his first, team's first. Frazier again with a penetration. Thompson with a big rebound, and he takes it back, and that shot will be good. Goaltending.
And this is
Solomon Olive, 7'1".
And this is where North Carolina had the advantage in the first game. And here you see it coming down. Good call right in front of the rim. You're always going to get that. But North Carolina, 21 offensive rebounds down in Tallahassee, really kept them in that game. They didn't shoot particularly well.
Mike, we'll keep an eye on Florida State. They like to front Hansbrough, and they like to rotate guys on him all day. He only had 8, as you mentioned, in that game down in Tallahassee.
And only 9 field goal attempts, so really didn't get many touches.
This is for 3. The other thing is, and a lot of people don't know this, but Tyler Hansbrough has his lowest scoring average against Florida State of anybody else in the conference for his career.
Well, now a lot of people know that, Tim.
Oh, you're sharp today. Here's Thompson.
16.9 a game, and it's coming off of the 8 earlier this year. Just thought I'd flesh that out for you.
Thank you very much. Nice pass inside to Hansbrough, and he's fouled.
Well, and immediately things are going to change because earlier in the year in that game, Hansbrough did not attempt a free throw, one of only 3 times in his career that he didn't. But here early he gets the dish and gets to the line.
You see the boot on that foot, or you did see the boot on that foot. Tyler Hansbrough, there you go. Billy McCoy focuses in on it. You can see that toe is still swollen and bruised, and he's not ready to play.
The most famous and talked about big right toe in the state of North Carolina right now.
We were talking about it yesterday. It's like one of those cartoons you see where the big toe is just throbbing. Six to 4, Florida State. When they met in January, it was a game of runs. Here's Etchefu from beyond the arc. Shot short.
An interesting matchup, too. They've got Danny Green on Tony Douglas. Some size. He's going to give him a little room, but they want to try to bother that jump shot.
Hansbrough's shot is short.
That's a range of jump shot that he's been taking more this year, especially later in the year. He's taken a couple of threes in his last game at the Smith Center.
Well, I tell you what, there is a lot of bumping and grinding going on in the low post. They tried to get it into Olive, and they couldn't do it. See, the Woodman of the World Scoreboard will update you not only in the ACC, but all the way around the country as we head towards Selection Sunday tomorrow. A lot of talk this morning at the Legends Brunch here at the ACC about how many teams out of this conference get into the big dance. We'll talk more about that as the day goes on. Hansbrough has it blocked, goes back, and he's fouled by Olive, and that's 2.
I think that Tyler Hansbrough has as much trouble against Florida State as any front line in the conference. They're very long, they're very physical, shot blockers everywhere. He is going to see a lot of Olive and Etchefu today as a double team.
The foul was called on Uche Etchefu. So that is his first. Olive stays with 1 as well, and that's important. They'll rotate those guys and certainly double down a lot on Hansbrough.
And they'll see Ryan Reed out there as well. Reed and Etchefu probably their 2 best technique defenders down in the low block.
Uncharacteristically misses. Hansbrough very rarely misses at the line. Florida State loses it out of bounds.
Good job with the shot clock.
16:51 to play in the first half. What a way to spend a Saturday afternoon. North Carolina and Florida State. There's Leonard Hamilton in his 7th season at Florida State. He elevated the program from facilities to athletic performance and the ACC Coach of the Year. Hansbrough takes it right down Main Street, has it blocked for the 2nd time. Douglas, yes.
Tony Douglas has gotten off to a quick start, and Florida State will be opportunistic. You have Olive, a guy who erases a lot of mistakes at the rim and triggers the fast break with his blocks.
Way outside to Ellington. Inside they go to Davis, and it's knocked out of bounds by Olive.
Against these shot blockers, you have to go in strongly, and this was a kind of weak floater that Hansbrough was off balance. Then what you want to do against North Carolina, get them in transition, not have to play against their set defense. Tony Douglas had a huge game down in Tallahassee, 32 points.
Ryan Reed checks into the ball game for Florida State, so another big. Ellington shot around the rim, comes back out. Hansbrough takes it back up. Still battling in the foul. So Ryan Reed just checked in, and he picks up his first personal. 15:59 to play, first half. Timeout on the floor. We'll take 1, 2. Hey fans, get your cell phones ready. It's time for our interactive feature called the Verizon Wireless Text of War. We want you to answer this question. Who's more valuable to his or her team? Well, in this case, his team. Douglas Hansbrough And all you have to do to text your answer, A1 or A2, I was looking at Mike at that point.
Hey, now.
55333. We'll update the results later in the half.
You all right? You all right there, partner?
How about this? If that doesn't include all of them, shame on you. Don't blame me.
Well, certainly they were two right at the top player of the year candidates. Lawson getting the nod there, and deservedly so, I thought, this year.
There's a look at Roy Williams. Won the 2005 National Championship, 6-time Coach of the Year. And the putback is good. And we're tied at 8.
6 offensive rebounds in the game already for North Carolina. They are the best rebounding team in the conference.
So after a 6-0 start by the Noles, Carolina has climbed back. Reed. Got to make that shot.
Yeah, no question about it. You have to finish. You get a rebound like that against this team. That has to be 2 points.
Here's Ellington with the penetration. Well, they're letting them play.
And I like that. The only thing you need from the referees is consistency on both ends of the floor. And I thought it was the same way against Duke and BC last night. It was a very physical game, but they let both teams play.
Gets the rebound, tries to put it back. There's Davis. When Ed Davis got in the ball game yesterday, he did all positive things. Really gave him a good lift. Ellington to the baseline. Nice move.
Kept turning the corner against Louts that time.
Carolina's first lead of the game. Florida State turns it over.
This is the thing, and Ellington is without Lawson is going to have to do a little bit more off the dribble than he normally would, and Reed was too caught up in his defensive man, couldn't get there to the baseline to get the help.
Get our first look today at Larry Drew. He got some minutes yesterday. Performed quite well. Penetrates, nice pass. That's what he did yesterday. Drew to Davis.
Well, you know what, Tim? I mean, they're going to lose a player of the year in Tyler Hansbrough, but I think that Ed Davis is going to be a very special player for North Carolina. He is going to be a double-double guy next year.
He brought a lot of positives to the Heels yesterday. 10 points against Tech and had a big impact.
Well, here are the two freshmen hooking up in the ACC tournament semifinal. What a terrific finish. Got the good duck inside and a nice look. Very safe pass from Larry Drew.
Ed Davis, the 2008 Mr. Basketball in the state of Virginia, and just gets better and better every time out. Try Sonic's new everyday value meal. If you're getting a little hungry watching this ball game, it's the best way to satisfy your Sonic cravings without breaking the bank. Delivers the great variety you'd expect, and all for only $1 each. Try the Junior Deluxe Burger, the Chicken Strip Sandwich, Junior Breakfast Burrito, and a whole lot of other items, all for $1 each. All day, every day. It's not just good, it's Sonic good. Tar Heels on a 12-2 run, and it's 12-8 Carolina. Douglas has been very quiet so far.
They've just ran about 4 screens for him, and they still could not get him open.
And Chafu reverse layup, still nothing there. They're working awfully hard and not making it pay off. And a foul on Green. So Jordan DeMercy will go to the line.
There's the look inside, the double team, and Etchefu does a nice job of splitting the double team, and that allows him some good sight lines into DeMercy, cutting to the lane. DeMercy limited playing time down the stretch.
He's only a 60% free throw shooter, and he misses the first. Talk about his limited time, and Leonard Hamilton said he thought he was more effective coming off the bench after seeing the game start, how it's being played. Misses them both.
They had a terrific their offensive rebound saves the possession for Florida State. DeMercy had a terrific game against Florida, career high earlier this year in the game I was attending.
That foul is on Thompson. His first.
You can't defend Tony Douglas with just one person. You have a guy on him, but when he comes around screen, you've got to have help. And that way, there are going to be 5 sets of eyes on him wherever he goes for North Carolina.
Etchefu goes out of the ball game. And again, they bring Ryan Reed in. They'll do that all afternoon. He almost throws it away, gets it back. This is Douglas from beyond the arc. Pass inside to Thompson, and he has it blocked. Gibson with the block, got out and wanted the ball back.
Well, this is the thing, the size that Florida State has, not only can they defend Hansbrough, but they also have enough bigs to defend Thompson in the power forward as well.
Douglas tries to bank it in, can't get it. Davis missed the dunk. Wow, how about that? You talk about bigs.
Ran the floor well, but I think just took off from a step too far out.
Douglas with a floater, too strong.
Well, too strong because Ed Davis steps up the penetration, a terrific shot blocker, so he forces the miss down at the other end.
Mike, it looks like these guys are still trying to feel each other out. Nobody really in that flow yet offensively. Florida State hadn't had a basket since 6:22 here in the first half. We're down to 12:36.
Started with this Danny Green tip in off the free throw. Ellington's gotten into the act. A nice drive along the baseline. The finish inside. This is where Carolina is taking control of the game along the front line. Their bigs playing very well so far.
Well, Carolina's the ACC's top rebounding team. And you see the 14-2 scoring run. Florida State hadn't scored in 5 minutes.
They haven't gotten many easy opportunities, Tim. A lot of it has been in the half court, and that is not an easy way to score against anybody.
Mike, I understand we're having some technical difficulties, and we saw that in the Text Award commercial. So we are trying to make it better. Tyler Zeller, the big 7-foot freshman in the ball game now for the Tar Heels.
Everything just really packed around Hansbrough, making it very difficult. Now, when they front, they want to try to get some high-low action, but
this foul is on Etchefu, and that'll be his second.
You can see right there, just Etchefu really fighting around the front. They're laying off Zeller, but still, that is going to be a pretty tough pass to make. Talked about it. Etchefu and Reed are their 2 best technique defenders down in the low block.
Ryan Reed checks back in a hurry. And there's another turnover.
A little offensive foul on Zeller.
That's his first.
That's his first, 3rd team foul.
10:25 to play in the first half. 14-8 Carolina after the Seminoles got out to a 6-0 lead to start this game.
Probably against a team that can score like North Carolina, they should feel fortunate they're only down 6 without having scored points in 6 minutes.
Well, you wonder where those points are going to come from, and you got to believe it's Douglas, but he's having a tough time getting his shot off. Reed comes up short on his little hook.
Wow, that time Larry Drew did a terrific job of getting through screens and not letting Douglas have any sort of look at all. Florida State's desperately trying to get him open. North Carolina is just staying too close.
Here's Frazier, looks things over. Shot clock has not been a factor.
I wonder if Hansbrough is going to get tired of being fronted inside and start to drift a little bit on the perimeter to get some looks.
Now the shot clock's at 10. Hansbrough notices it. Gives it back to Drew from beyond the arc for 3.
That's the thing they missed, too, about Lawson. We talk about his playmaking ability, Tim, but Lawson, a terrific three-point shooter, leading the conference at 47%. So you're not just losing a playmaker, you're losing an offensive weapon as well.
Nice pass underneath. Still can't get anything to go. Alabi finally does, and the drought ends.
That was a good catch on a tough pass inside, but he almost dribbled his way out of a good shot.
Almost taken away, and the foul on Singleton. Or is it? It is. It's on Singleton. Closed captioning for today's telecast is provided by Bojangles. You got to want to need to get a have a Bojangles, and we're now in a 1-on-1 situation. So 17 fouls on Florida State and just 3 on Carolina.
Wayne Ellington checks in for number 11.
Frazier goes to the line. He hasn't gone there very often this year.
You know, this had to be a special year for Bobby Frazier, having the year last year cut short with the knee injury, and then having everybody decide to come back and give one more run for the national championship. I'm sure nobody felt better about that in Chapel Hill than him. You know, he might have thought that dream had slipped away last year, but here he is right back in the middle of it.
5 for 10 at the line this season. And misses the second. Olive almost lost it out of
Florida
bounds.
State sub David Escudero, number 4.
David is dual keys in the game now for Florida State. He's an outside shooter. Olive with a short jumper. 15-12.
Saw a big basket yesterday, 7 of 10 in that game. He has really been carrying them offensively so far early on in this game.
Ellington from beyond the arc. Splash.
So a step back, and just again, we're seeing him do more off the dribble in this game.
Pushes the Tar Heels lead back to 6. And the foul will be on Zeller. So that's 2 on Zeller. 7:59 to play in the first half.
Scott Przwanski back with you here in Atlanta, and I found Sam Cassell, former Seminole great here, played for the Noles back in 1991, part of the first team for Florida State to play in the ACC. What was the mindset coming into the league back then?
Well, back then we was considered a football school, and we didn't know how to play basketball, but they was fully surprised by our success in the conference my 2 years in college.
You know, your first game was against Carolina in Chapel Hill. You won that game, and you coined a phrase, which is now famous, wine and cheese. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, at that particular time, well, I think the students at North Carolina should thank me, because at that time, the students were sitting up in the rafters, and the alumni was sitting by the court. So it wasn't loud. You know, you didn't get the effect of a college basketball game. So I made a statement. I called it the wine and cheese crowd, and I think all North Carolina alumni got mad at me, but it was the truth. It wasn't loud. We just single-handedly just handled them down there in our first inaugural game in the ACC Conference.
Well, Sam, we appreciate your time. You should get residuals for that phrase.
I should have patented that back then.
Back over to you guys.
Well, Florida State could use Sam here this afternoon. Dulkes hits their first 3 of the game, and that's their first bucket in over 7 minutes.
One of the first rushes up the floor that they've had due to him getting out in the open floor in transition.
Sam got in that zone. He could get it going, couldn't he?
Absolutely. Big time scorer. Not afraid of any situation.
Dulkes almost has the block. So Dulkes has checked into this ball game, and he's helped him and put some life into it.
And walked into 2 world championships with the Houston Rockets right out of the chute.
Nice. Good idea, poor execution. He had Green coming down the right lane, right side of the lane.
Yeah, we're kind of lucky that time, and it was a bounce pass, but there was not a lot of room to try to thread it through.
Low-scoring first half.
And obviously, the lower scoring the game, the more to Florida State's advantage.
Back to Douglas. Yesterday, he was pulling up on that 3 on the transition. He's not doing that today. Kitchen drives right side. Back to Reed. This is a 2-ball. It's a 1-point game.
Well, he's capable scorer. He had 5 double-figure scoring games in his first 14, but none since. His time has kind of dwindled, Tim. But he's a 8-point-a-game scorer. You've got to honor him 15 feet and in.
3.
Ellington looks like he's in one of those zones that he could go for 25 plus.
Ellington had 22 the first time these two teams played. Wilkie's lost his dribble. Olive gets it. Frazier doing a nice job on Douglas.
They're giving him some room, Tim. They're going to let him take jump shots, so they don't want him to drive.
Followed by Reed.
Ryan Reed doing a nice job offensively, giving him a lift off the bench, comes in, scores on 2 consecutive possessions. A great battle inside now between Reed and Hansbrough.
Boy, they're going after it, aren't they? Very physical. Ellington from beyond the arc. Thompson saves it, but stepped on the line. Take a look at our Haviland defensive shield, and there are some outstanding defensive players in this conference. All ACC defensive team, Tony Douglas right at the top, along with Olive, Green, Booker, and Williams.
3 of those on display, and then the player of the year right at the top of that list, Tony Douglas.
And right now, is Bobby Frazier is doing a nice job defensively on Douglas.
Like I said, they're using taller covers on Douglas, and they're also giving him some space, trying to cut down and then just contest jump shots when he pulls up. I think North Carolina, as I said, are doing a very good job of fighting through screens.
Tony just 2 for 4. And the whistle and the foul, and Tony Douglas now will go to the line.
They're going to call that on Frazier, and that time trying to run Douglas into the low post to give him an opportunity. They're going to say that Frazier bodied him underneath.
LSU up on Mississippi State. As you look at the Woodman of the World scoreboard. Ohio State over Michigan.
As we mentioned the game down in Tallahassee, Tim, where Tony Douglas had 32. 13 of 14 from the free throw line there, so really was giving North Carolina fits. Has not visited the line much today.
That was his first. He's got 5 points. Make that 6, and he's 2 for 2 at the stripe. Second tie of the ball game. Both teams have led by 6. Thompson fades away. Ball's still alive. Possession arrow belongs to Carolina. Boy, Thompson has been battling. He battled yesterday and again today. Really came to this tournament to play.
And Ed Davis that time, another instance inside, he had a good look at it, was unable to get the finish, missed the dunk earlier in the game.
Ed Davis looks like he's put on a little bit of weight since he's gotten to Carolina. Still very thin, but I mean, when he got there, he was just a reed.
And I would imagine you'll see even more improvement over this summer. That's where most guys make that jump between their freshman and sophomore years.
In my case, it was just the freshman 20.
Yeah. Had to ice down that elbow every night.
One-armed girls. Looking underneath for anything. Back out front to Ellington. He looks at the clock. Thompson off balance but gets the roll.
If you're North Carolina and your guy and you're receiving on the post, except for Hansbrough, they're not coming to double team. That was a good recognition by Thompson. He took a look around and was very patient on that move.
Thompson had 12 points yesterday. He's got 6 already this afternoon. Wilkie's shot draws iron. Ahead to Ellington. Back up to Green, way beyond the arc.
Danny Green is still struggling in this tournament. 1 of 5 today, only 2 of 13 yesterday.
Florida State shooting not very strong here in the first half. Right around 33%. Still hanging around, just 2 down. And this is a block of Tony Douglas. Hits up rather gingerly. 3:43 to play in the first half. 23-21 Carolina.
Take a look and see how Florida State has been guarding Tyler Hansbrough. Very physical with him. A lot of bodies around him every time he touches the ball. Multiple defenders. Double teams inside. They've been fronting him a lot, and Tim, to this point, it's been very successful. He is 0 of 5 in the game. Does have 6 rebounds, and 4 of 6 from the free throw line, but I think all in all, a successful game plan so far by Florida State.
And he looks gassed, doesn't he? Those 6 rebounds are big, though. You're right.
Yeah, he's still in it, still doing other things, and that's what you'd expect from him. But I don't know. I think he always looks that way, and I don't know that I could ever characterize him as being gassed. I just think he's one of the best conditioned guys in the conference.
That 6th rebound that he got tied him with Sam Perkins for the all-time rebounding record. And Moore, of course, breaks it. Douglas for 3. Douglas wanted it back. Reed with the turnaround. And it'll be a new 35 for Florida State. Closed captioning for today's telecast provided by Bojangles. You got to want to need to get a have a Bojangles.
That advantage, Leonard Hamilton's looking on, the advantage that North Carolina had on the boards in Tallahassee in that first matchup not been here today, but Florida State hanging in there with them.
Here's the steal by Carolina. Drew kicks it out. Back to Green from beyond the arc.
He's not seeing a big basket right now, and that was a pretty good look for Danny Green.
Ellington knocks down a 3.
That man, however, is lighting it up right now, and he's found his rhythm. Missed his first few shots.
Talk about finding his rhythm. I saw him find that rhythm against Maryland and lit him up to 34. Ellington. That's a 2-ball. You're right. He's in the zone.
Well, in that time, Olive, they used him in a screen roll, and he did not come out and get a hand up. Ellington had a great job. Olive, as a shot blocker, wants to stay in the rim, so you want to try to involve him in those pick and rolls as much as you can.
Carolina's largest lead of the game, 28-21. Well, it's time to update you on Verizon Wireless Text to War poll. We're asking you this question: who's more valuable to his team? You see the result as of right now. Add your voice to the vote. Text your answer A1 or A2 to 55333. Thanks for participating in Verizon's Text to War. Right now, Tyler Hansbrough big.
Let's take a look in the open floor. Good skip pass, finding Ellington, a great way to get a three-point shooter open to look over the zone, and then watch this little screen roll. You see Olive just kind of laying off him, and that's he's going to knock that shot down.
Well, Ellington averages 14. He scored 14 the first time these two teams met, and he's got 13 right now. It's a 7-0 Carolina run since it was tied at 21. And here's our principal financial group edge of the game. 8 points off 7 Florida State turnovers.
And they only got 10 yesterday against Virginia Tech for the whole game. And we talked about manufacturing easy points, Tim, as a point of emphasis for North Carolina. That's one way to certainly do it.
Dangerously close to the timeline. Okay, he was right at midcourt.
That's the favorite place for North Carolina to trap, right over the half-court line and right in the corner, and he dribbled right into it, fortunate to get out.
Douglas wants it back. He's having a tough time finding his shot. Here's Kitchen. And lost out of bounds by the Seminoles. So Florida State on a drought.
Well, and Douglas is getting touches, Tim. He's got 7 field goal attempts. He's missed 5, and he's missed all 3 of his threes. Ellington has been a one-man wrecking crew in the last little stretch here. He has scored 11 straight points for North Carolina.
You know, when these two teams met in January, Florida State built a 9-point lead in the first half as Hansbrough goes in with a power move.
See, that was one of his easier opportunities. He got a deep catch, and there was no chance for a double team to get there, which just went right up to the rim.
Carolina closed that first half in Tallahassee on a 32-13 run. Kick it outside. Douglas has a wide open look and buries it.
Yeah, well, that's probably the easiest shot he's had in the first half.
Boy, do they need that one. Nice pass to Davis. What a great pass by Hansbrough to Davis.
Well, and the problem is when they're fronting the post, the best high post passer they have is Hansbrough. And you saw it on that play, but that was a terrific seal by Davis. got himself up the lane a little bit and gave himself some room to catch.
65 seconds to play in the first half. And the whistle and the foul, and this is on Hansbrough.
Number 50,
Here's the look. When we talk about fronting the post, you've got to have a high post passer, and there was no pressure on the ball for Hansbrough, so he was able to just kind of sit there and pick the defense apart.
That's the first on Hansbrough. Coming up at halftime, we'll have all the analysis, highlight stats, and a whole lot more for you. That's all coming up on the Hardy's halftime report with Mike Hogwood. And Reed misses the free throw. Unbelievable. The Mercy goes out of the game. And Laux checks in.
Danny Green checks in for number 11.
Danny Green checks into the ball game for Carolina, and Drew goes out. Under a minute to play in the first half. 7-point game. Boy, Frazier took it on the baseline and stepped on it.
Took it too far that time, a couple dribbles too far, just dribbled himself right into a turnover. But you look at it in aggregate, though, Tim, without loss and only 3 turnovers for the Tar Heels in the first half. Very good control of the ball.
That still wasn't a very pleasant look for Roy Williams. Back out front to Laux. Looking for Douglas. 25 on the game clock, 11 on the shot clock. Douglas now looks up and sees it. It's at 7. He's got to go. 4. He makes the bucket. He'll go to the line for one more. Foul on Frazier. How big was that?
Well, and it's interesting. They had Ellington pinching in on the other side, so Douglas couldn't go right, but he's forced to go left. Little step back, creates some separation, and Frazier just committing the senseless foul, going right into him. And you know, Tony Douglas has struggled, and he has really worked hard to try to get open. Maybe getting a little confidence in the last 2 minutes of this half.
Well, Douglas now with 12 points, which means he's been in double figures 21 straight games now, and he's an 81% free throw shooter. So besides the defense and the floor leadership, he does it all for Florida State. 13 seconds left. They're going to get a last shot here. Douglas wants it back. Instead, Kitchen takes it and scores. That was like his game winner last night.
I was going to say, it was looking carbon copy.
Well, that's a little more like it.
Interesting. It was not a typical Carolina offensive game. Again, the absence of Ty Lawson impacting that. We talked about the lower scoring game, but more to Florida State's advantage.
Hard-fought game of runs, very physical first half, and it's 32-29 Carolina. Mike Hogwood on the other side.
ACC basketball is being brought to you by Ruby Tuesday, by your Carolina Jeep dealers, by Haviland, by Woodman of the World Life Insurance Society, by Sonic Drive-In, and by Toyota. ACC basketball is brought to you by Chick-fil-A, by Progress Energy, by Gatorade, by Geico, by Hardee's, by Toyota, and by Red Lobster.
ACC basketball is presented in high definition where available by MFS Investment Management. A diverse range of products so advisors can choose what fits. 32-29 Carolina at the half. Let's go over to Scott.
Caught up with Leonard Hamilton walking off the court. Asked him about his offense. He said, on the perimeter, we've been horrible. We're just standing around, floating around. He really wants to attack Carolina's guards here starting the second half. Roy Williams asked him about the offense. He said, Coach, do you like it? He said, how can I like it? We're in the 30%. He said, we got to get the ball in scoring position, and that means inside, and also pay strict attention to the backboards as well.
All right, despite that size, you look at the rebounds, and North Carolina has really been pounding the boards. And yet Florida State has the big guys.
Yeah, right at it. And again, we talked about in that game down in Tallahassee, North Carolina dominated them on the glass. But right now, Florida State a +4 and just about even on the offensive rebounding. Neither team shooting well. As a matter of fact, both of them identical, 12 of 34 from the field. The only difference in this game, a couple of more free throws for North Carolina and one more three.
Carolina had its second fewest points in the first half this season. Had 29 at Miami. They've got 32 here.
Well, and I think, you know, the guy really is on the perimeter who needs to get going scoring-wise for North Carolina is Danny Green. Combined in this tournament, he is 3 of 19, 1 of 10 from 3.
John Madry keeping the numbers for us, the best in the business. Along with Mike Jaminski, I'm Tim Brandt, and we're underway here in the second half. Semifinal Saturday. Let's see who moves on. Here's Kitchen right down the lane and banks it in. Florida State scores first. Keep in mind, the Seminoles scored the first 6 points of the ball game.
Well, and as Scott told us that they're talking about attacking the guards, and Derwin Kitchen right there, a very aggressive move off the high screen.
Well, they let Green right down Main Street. He had a good look. I think he was surprised at how uncontested he was. Back outside to Douglas. Beyond the arc. Yes, sir.
This is Kitchen right now. I mean, he is really being aggressive. He scores the first time, and he really made that play by being aggressive and getting Douglas a open look.
Florida State by 2. Green gets another look and can't finish, and Hansbrough's fouled. Tyler to check and see if he still has all his teeth.
Yeah, here's the look. You see the aggressive crossover right there, and Drew Frazier in, and that gave Douglas look. I mean, that's almost the. I don't know that you can help off a Tony Douglas like that. I realize you're trying to pick your teammate up off a broken down dribble, but Douglas too good a shooter. You don't want to get him going.
He's now the all-time leading rebounder at North Carolina and one of the best free throw shooters in the history of the game. He's now hit 198 of his 231 free throws.
I just find it astounding that he was able to play a whole game in Florida State and not go to the free throw line one time.
Tied at 34. Kitchen drifts to the right. Nice crossover move. Now kicks it back outside. Down in the corner they go. And the follow is good.
Nice pass by Singleton.
And Etchefu was there to receive it. Hansbrough loses it out of bounds. It's been a game of runs. So was their first matchup.
Right, I said you like the start that Florida State is giving. Here's the extra pass, and Singleton just a little short, and the fair catch by Etchefu underneath. I was thought on air balls that the offensive player had the distinct advantage. The defensive guy was a little reluctant to go up and grab it.
Shouldn't have called the fair catch. Could have been an alley-oop. Douglas to the baseline. Stop, pop, bang.
I'll tell you what, Alabi is setting some big-time screens out there. He is freeing up Kitchen and Douglas.
Seminoles by 4. Their largest lead was 6 in the first half. Hansbrough answers. He's now in double figures.
Just everything is difficult for Hansbrough. They had a lob over Alabi that time, and then Etchefu right there to pick him up, but he still finished.
Douglas, nice move, step back jumper. He's feeling it.
Yeah, by being aggressive, they've gotten Tony Douglas off, and now he is seeing a big basket.
And last touched out of bounds by Alabi. Our Chick-fil-A nugget of the game. The only 2 times these 2 teams have met in the ACC Semifinals, 1992, and that was Sam Cassell. Talked to him earlier. 80-76, good ball game there, good ball game here. But before, when he was fouled, he was checking his mouthpiece. Now he's putting a contact back in. You think this isn't a rough game? Sam's all in one piece. He's just chilling. He's got to like it when they start shooting from the bonus sphere. That was his game.
No question about it. And that was his game playing around Akeem Olajuwon, too. He was playing horse outside. Everybody worried about the big fella down low.
Hansbrough is money at the line. He scored 28 points with 8 rebounds against Tech yesterday. Second in NCAA history in free throw attempts. He now has 12 points.
Well, if you're a post player and you shoot 85% from the line and you get a lot of touches, you can score a lot of points. North Carolina sitting now in a little 2-3 zone.
Douglas trying to add to those 7 this half. Here he is. Knocked out of bounds by Green.
Trying to give Florida State a little different look here, change things up, get them out of their rhythm.
Got 15 on the shot clock. So Leonard Hamilton lets them know that. And they get it back to Douglas. He calls back for it. So 8 on the shot clock. Jump stop and throws it away.
Miscommunication right there. Tony Douglas looking at Derwin Kitchen saying you should have been over in the corner. I was looking for you to flare. They set a little screen in the zone on top, and just miscommunication between those two.
Carolina trying to tie or lead. Back to Ellington. 7 on the shot clock. Ellington. Ball still loose. Possession arrow belongs to Carolina. Coming up next, Maryland, which got that upset win over Wake Forest last night. And Duke. Did that win last night put Maryland in?
Yes, I think it put them in the tournament, and I thought it was a masterful game plan by Gary Williams to utilize that 3-2 zone. And Wake Forest was very stubborn, could not shoot the ball well at all. I think 3 of 25 from 3 in that game. But that a huge win for the Terrapins.
Gary Williams, I think, has had 2 spectacular coaching games down here in this tournament. And he's an outstanding coach anyway, but those 2, he won.
Seminoles foul number 2.
Foul is on DeMercy. That's his first. 16-12 to play here in the second half. Florida State by 2. Largest lead was by Carolina at 9. Alley-oop, can't finish.
It is just not going well at all for Danny Green. Probably would have been better served to catch that and go back up, but he just cannot get on track.
Nice pass inside to Olive. Olive can't finish. Now he does, and he'll go to the line for one more.
But he is so long inside. Really didn't have great balance on that catch, but was able to use the second effort and finish.
Number 11, Larry Drew comes in.
Struggled a little bit early in the game, but then found his rhythm late in the second half, or in the first half, and at the start of the second has gotten some very good looks. He's been aggressive, playing against Derwin Kitchen, very deservedly so on the first team all ACC, but Tim, he is perfect in the second half, 3 of 3, including a 3-point basket, 7 points.
And Hansbrough has all 6 of North Carolina's points. There's a look at Tony Douglas. What a role he has been on. He had 32 points against North Carolina when they met in January, 25 points yesterday. Actually had 74 points in the last 3 games.
And, you know, it's just a matter of really, and they've got 3 or 4 other guys who are averaging right around 9 or 8 points, no other double-figure scorers, any one of whom can step up on a given night and score, and Olive giving them a nice pop here for offensively.
He's only a 67% free throw shooter, but knocks that one down.
Already above his average for the game.
Seminoles are going to need to keep something close to that pace if they're going to win this ball game too. Here's Hansbrough. Banks in a tough shot. Certainly was contested. He now has 14 points.
Right, I think that's the way to attack Olive, a shot blocker. If he can pull him off the lane a little bit and use his dribble and get him moving backward. Let's see how Florida State attacks this zone.
Hansbrough jumps out on Kitchen. He brings it back up to Tony Douglas. Look underneath, wanted it back. Singleton with a jump hook.
Yeah, pretty nice catch. Caught it in the short corner. Found a little crease in the zone on the baseline.
Hansbrough again, same shot, same result.
Yeah, that is the most effective shot against a shot blocker. The little jump hook, you get your body, it's almost unblockable.
He now has 16, and it's a shootout. Douglas with 18, Hansbrough with 16. Two superstars. Frazier, beyond the arc. Oh, Hansbrough wanted it. He finally gets it. How about the pass to Davis?
Yeah, and you know, that's the evolution of a player. Hansbrough in his younger years might have forced that play, but he recognized, he drew the defense in a nice little dish.
Cuts the lead to 1. Kitchen got caught in the air. Olive has it blocked. Correction, Etchefu.
Ed Davis putting his stamp on this game the last couple of possessions.
Ellington step back jumper, and he's fouled. Now, was he inside or outside? That was a 2, so he'll just shoot 2.
Here's the look. I mean, Hansbrough's going to draw a lot of attention. You see all the dark jerseys and the little flip pass inside. Good finish. And this is when you have a player like that who can clean up a lot of mistakes, it is such a big help defensively.
Meanwhile, Chris Singleton picks up his 4th personal foul. So there's one of the bigs at 6'9", 230, and he's in foul trouble. This broadcast is a copyrighted presentation, and the use of it without the express permission of Raycom Sports and the ACC is prohibited. We're in the Georgia Dome. Tim Brandt, Mike.
Well, while we were away, Brian Kersley and the officials met with both coaches, Leonard Hamilton and Roy Williams, discuss, hey, can we play under these light conditions? They both said yes, so they're going to go ahead and do it. The concern was how the lights would come back on if they would just come on in one big burst. They were afraid someone might be shooting a free throw or a jump shot, and that wouldn't be fair. So they're just going to go ahead and play right now.
All right, Scott, thank you very much. As Mike said, they played worse than this as they were coming up. Play in front of the car lights, lately playground games.
Absolutely. Play on.
Meanwhile, Ellington is at the line. It's 45-45. And Ellington, who's an 80% free throw shooter, is trying to give the Tar Heels the lead. He's got 14 points, make it 15. Green checks in. Ellington goes out for a breather. He's probably saying to Roy Williams, I just had a breather during all that lighting thing.
North Carolina has been in this zone for a significant amount of time in the second half.
Kitchen brings it back out.
Florida State trying to screen the top of it, try to get some looks.
Douglas gets a look and buries it. That's a 3.
It's the one way. I mean, these Kitchen and Douglas have the ability to shoot North Carolina out of that zone.
Tony Douglas with 21 points. And he's got the Noles up by 2. On the shot clock. Thompson picks up his dribble. 6 on the shot clock. Penetration by Drew in the air ball. Terrific defensive set by the Noles. tell when Douglas is feeling it. He keeps calling for the ball. He's ready to flash, and there he is.
He's the type of player he's going to call for it even if he's not feeling it. He will keep shooting the basketball, no question.
And that's a 3-ball. Oh my! So Dolkis comes in, and the Lithuanian drills a 3-ball.
A little bit of separation. They realized with Hansbrough out of the ball game, an opportunity to put some points up on the board.
Thompson, sweet jumper.
This is what life next year is going to look like in the low box with Davis and Thompson playing alongside one another. Tyler Hansbrough getting ready to check back in.
You know, early in the season for Carolina, they talked about some of these young kids and when would they be available? How deep could the bench get? They're showing it in this tournament. And the foul. And Ryan Reed is feeling it. 11:38 to play. Florida State with a lead.
Green's second.
Florida State leads by 3, 11:38 to play. Tyler Hansbrough about to check back in. Hansbrough with 16 points.
Well, and he really came alive. He only had 6 points in the first half, but they've been doing a better job of getting him touches a little closer to lane. He's scored on a nice array of moves. The ability to finish and pass inside to Davis.
Hansbrough 4-10 from the field. 8 of 10 from the foul line. 16 points. Verizon Wireless text to war looks like this. Hansbrough out in front big. 64% to 36%. A1 or A2, 55333. You still can text your vote. Those are the numbers we were just talking about. Tony Douglas having a heck of an afternoon, and meanwhile, Florida State shooting 9 of 11 here in the second half. 3 for 3 beyond the arc.
And that's the thing. I mean, Roy Williams has got to be very disturbed about his defense here in the second half because of those numbers. And North Carolina's shooting has not improved appreciably. But the Florida State, and I think a lot of it stems from Scott Brzezinski talked about with Leonard Hamilton. The guards for Florida State have been much more aggressive in this half and creating opportunities for each other.
Reed misses the second one. Hansbrough squares and hits the 2.
Well, Xavier Gibson was coming over on the double team. Hansbrough recognized it and turned the shot to face-up jump shot.
Once again, Dolkis with the 3.
Well, he's done a terrific job against the zone, running the baseline, and Florida State getting the penetration from the top and finding him. It's just good movement without the basketball.
So Carolina with half 100 trails by 5. Thompson, yes.
I just remember Deion Thompson, the game over at Cameron Indoor Stadium, gave North Carolina a huge boost offensively. Got off to a big start. We're seeing a big basket, a lot of them on jump shots just like that. He's a very capable 15-foot jump shooter.
He had 12 yesterday. He's got 10 today. Hansbrough takes it away. Out in front to Drew. Pass on the right side to Ellington, and he's fouled.
You know, it's amazing, Tim, that run out, normally North Carolina gets 60% of their offense in that fashion. That's one of the few that we've seen today, and that's, again, the effect of Ty Lawson not being out on the floor, and that was all started by a terrific defensive play by Hansbrough.
So Ellington goes to the line, and normally he's money at the charity stripe. And as I say that wasn't even close.
That wasn't even change.
There you go.
Yeah, much better. Not even any rim that time. Ellington just over 80%.
And it's a 2-point game. Douglas had a good idea, but he's got to take that himself.
Yeah,
he was open for the pull-up.
I don't know if Gibson was expecting that, but those are the ones you got to catch. You have to be ready with your hands.
Exactly 10 minutes left to play. Mississippi State comes from behind to beat LSU. Ohio State over Michigan State. Michigan State trying to get a #1 seed. They've got to win that thing.
Mississippi State now making a little bit of an argument.
Hansbrough is hammered. Boy, he's had it tough going in there today.
Yeah, they've sent a lot of bodies on him, and there's the look, the step through. Wow, he got clobbered, sandwiched by 2 people.
And Alabi gets called for the foul, and Mike, that's 3 on the big fella. So Alabi picks up his 3rd, and Hansbrough makes the free throw.
I just, in watching him over these 4 years, those type of plays, I think, just energize Hansbrough. I mean, he just, rather than getting beaten down, he responds to that and thrives on it.
Here we go. We're tied at 55. What a way to start semifinals Saturday, and the Tar Heel faithful are on their feet. Donkeys again for 3. Over to Kitchen. Buries it.
Boy, Dulkes has really given him a big lift off the bench. Nice shot fake and the extra pass gives Kitchen a good look.
Offensive foul on Tyler Hansbrough. I mean, they were battling down under, and all of a sudden Hansbrough backed him out. Watch this. Whoops.
Yeah, that's the elbow right there, and that's the call.
Now watch
right
this.
There, you see the wraparound, and he's got his arm hooked. Etchefu really fighting inside.
This is one of the most physical games you'll see. Douglas. Yes.
Another good screen by Alabi outside. Hansbrough just a step late getting a hand up.
Florida State by 5. Ellington beyond the arc. Green with the putback. And Thompson is fouled.
The intensity picking up at both ends. Here's that screen stepping out, and Hansbrough just a little late. There's a great recognition by Douglas. He likes that little step back to create some separation.
So Deion Thompson goes to the line. And the 6'8" junior from Torrance, California, is only a 65% free throw shooter. You know, there's nothing like college basketball. If you're celebrating the win, do it right. The way you celebrate sure says a lot about you, and it reflects on your school, so be responsible. Take care of yourself and your friends. That's a message from Anheuser-Busch. Makes them both.
Huge advantage at this free throw line. North Carolina outscoring Florida State by 11.
Douglas working to get open. This is from the bonus sphere. Draws iron.
And the reason why they have that advantage to him at the free throw line, North Carolina really pounding it inside, getting into the paint area.
And Ellington is fouled. Really nice jump stop and pump fake.
Yeah, just like that. And conversely, down the other end, Florida State has been relying on jump shots in this last stretch, so not getting to the free throw line.
Second.
Number right there. It's not a discrepancy in calls by any stretch. It's just how the two teams are attacking the rim, or not attacking, as in the case of Florida State.
Wayne Ellington got everybody's attention. Considered jumping to the NBA last year. Had 16 points yesterday, and having another banner afternoon here today. He's got 17 points. A communications major, and he sure is making a statement in this tournament. So the lead is still 2 by the Noles. Kitchen to the baseline. Over to Douglas. Up top to Dulkes. He'll fire from there. touch by Florida State. This is going to be survival of the fittest today. 7:46 to play. 2-point game. We'll be back.
Attention ACC fans, don't miss the...
Yesterday afternoon's final second decisions are certainly worth another look. Tyler Hansbrough put the Heels up by 1. 33 seconds left in the game. Then Hansbrough forced a Virginia Tech turnover. Carolina escaped with a win. Then in the second game, Florida State's Sherwood Kitchen hit a layup and a free throw for a 1-point Seminole win with 7 seconds left. Then in the nightcap, Gerald Henderson connected on the game winner for the Blue Devils as Boston College loses a tough one in the final minute. So that set up the semifinals Saturday, and there's a look at Wojo doing a little scouting. Coming up next, Duke and the Terrapins of Maryland. Our Chrysler game summary looks like this. Both teams playing well. Free throws, Mike talked about that advantage. And look at the stars. Douglas with 23, Hansbrough with 20.
Big right now in the second half, it's been Florida State's ability to shoot the 3 that has got them out in front. And North Carolina's been living at the free throw line.
And this ball will belong to the Seminoles. This game has been close from the get-go. Florida State started on a 6-0 run at the very beginning. Carolina came back and led by as many as 9. Thompson called the jump ball, had all ball, and the possession arrow belongs to Florida State. So Thompson playing defense and refereeing, and he was right on both counts. That's the foul trouble we were talking about with Singleton with 4, Alabi with 3. Those big guys, they've been rotating the Mike all day on Hansbrough.
Yeah, and certainly enough bodies where they've got some depth up front.
And the step through by Douglas, nicely done, and he's fouled by Thompson. That's the second on Thompson. Douglas slow getting up. And now has a little hitch in his giddy up.
Thompson bailed him out a little bit on that play. It was a pretty good double team, but Douglas able to step through it. He was in a bad way. North Carolina always does a very good job when an offensive player picks up his dribble of cutting off outlets.
Boy, Douglas continues to work without the ball. Here he is against Hansbrough, and that's a block with Tyler Hansbrough. That is 3 on Tyler Hansbrough, and he now has some foul trouble with 7:09 to play.
And he was a little late the last time stepping out. And if you're a guard and you see a big step out on the hedge, you want to try to dribble right at him. And Hansbrough never got square to him. Good call.
We saw Roy Williams. That'll give him a headache, and he knows he's got to make a change here. So Hansbrough actually is going to stay in. Thompson goes out. Kitchen goes inside. Alabi looks back out. Singleton to the top. Kitchen with the crossover. And Singleton throws it away.
Oh, nice anticipation by Hansbrough. Good steal inside.
Ellington loses the handle. This is Green from way outside.
Danny Green now 1 of 11 in the game.
How about that? It's almost like Alabi didn't have a passing lane, so he just shot the hook.
Well, I mean, so much bigger than Hansbrough, so much longer inside. There's nothing Hansbrough, when he goes for that little jump hook, he cannot stop it.
And Ellington is fouled.
I've said Alabi doesn't always have the best balance in the world, but he got the ball with 1 foot in the lane and just went up. Nice little soft touch. That is not an easy shot. A little jump hook for a right-handed player on that side of the lane.
Foul was on Derwin Kitchen. See the team fouls with the Seminoles with 9.
22.
One more, and it'll be a 2-shot situation for the Heels. Ellington shooting 1-and-1 this trip.
The possession was really hurt, especially on the front end of the 1-and-1s. Ellington, we talked about 80% now, 4 of 7 in the game from the line.
Number 1 team in the nation is on the ropes, down by 4. Foul on Frazier. That's 3 on Frazier. New 35 for Florida State. Noles don't have to hurry, but they better watch a 5-second call. And there's the steal. Ellington.
Wow, really nice play and a good defensive play. You have a guy who's not your primary ball handler in Singleton trying to create something out front. North Carolina very opportunistic.
Carolina fans on their feet. Bang. You need points? Go to Douglas. He's got 25.
Yeah, tough shot, too. Pulled up right in front of Hansbrough.
And a whistle away from the ball.
There's a look inside, the good poke away, and Ellington, the rule is on the break until somebody steps up to stop you, take it all the way to the rim, and he pressed the advantage, and there it is, that tough pull-up by Tony Douglas.
Mike, the foul was on Uche Echefu. He now has 3 personals. He only has 2 points today, and the last time these two teams met, he had 14. Meanwhile, Hansbrough goes to the line and bottoms on the foul shot. He's now 11 of 13.
They've gotten good contributions. This is pretty balanced scoring, actually, for Florida State. Olive with 11, Kitchen with 9, Dulkes with a nice production off the bench with 9.
Hansbrough makes it a 2-point game.
He's got 14 of the 25 attempts for North Carolina.
We're about to go under 5 minutes. That's officially pressure time. This is 3. Yes, sir, by Singleton.
Wow, huge shot.
Had a foot on the line. The officials are talking about it. They may even look at it. The officials are going to go over and take a look at this to see if it was a 2 or a 3.
All right, Singleton has not been a big part of the offense. It looked like that right foot when he squared up just went over the line.
Just barely had that right toe on it.
Can't tell from that angle.
It doesn't look like the left one from that angle, but the right one certainly from the other angle looked like it was touching. It's tough to tell from that angle too.
I don't know if there's any look that we saw right there that really showed maybe the first one.
Well, I know he thinks it was a 3.
Well, he would have been 3 feet behind the 3-foot line, so that would have never been an issue.
Yeah, he's on the line.
It looked like right there that he was on the line.
So they'll take a point off the board. Boy, it's close though, huh?
Yeah, it's just with the dark line and the dark shoe, it's kind of tough. But it looked like, again, when he squared up, that right foot comes over.
.447 to play. Every point is critical. So they're taking a good long look at this one.
Well, this game is not playing out any differently than the game down in Tallahassee earlier. I mean, we talked about it. Florida State had a lead for most of that second half, and they did everything but win the game. And it took a miraculous shot by Ty Lawson at the end of the game, and it took 2 great defensive plays by Hansbrough to flip that game around. So this is, you know, if you're Florida State, you've been in this position before. The only thing you have to do is finish out the last 4:47.
Jamie Luckey, Brian Kersey, Sean Hall, those are your 3 officials. And I mean, they're in a pretty good debate over there whether this is a 2 or a 3. They want to be sure about it. This game means a lot. So they blow it up here. Here's a look now. They've expanded the video and blown this up. And watch his right foot. That's how close it is. That's what they're looking at. And it's a 2-pointer.
Yeah,
so they've decided it's a 2-pointer.
That's a good look, and it is by the closest of margins. But again, when a right-handed player squares up to take a shot, his right foot comes out a little bit farther than the other. And that's what put it on the line.
66-62, Florida State. Frazier loses it out of bounds. Last touch by Douglas.
And this is the one thing North Carolina was a little wary of, the ability of Tony Douglas to put pressure on both Frazier and Drew.
Shot clock is at 20. Ellington to the baseline. They double down to him. Hansbrough takes it up strong. They come away empty. And the foul on Hansbrough, I believe, and that's 4.
Yep, good call. A little frustration right there. Missed the point-blank shot, and that's Olive's presence in there.
And that is huge. This is what they're looking at. Hansbrough with 4, Singleton with 4. Olive, Etchefu, and Frazier all have 3.
32, Solomon Olive.
You think they're not into this game? You think there's not some concern? #1 team in the nation, trailing by 4. And Olive at the line. In a game of this magnitude, you cannot afford to miss the front ends of 1 and 1.
And it's happened both ends. And Ellington on the one end at an 80% shooter, and then Olive returning the favor.
Davis looks inside to Hansbrough.
Triple team. Wow.
Ellington bottoms.
Yeah, good kick out that time. Florida State is going to commit to not letting other people other than Hansbrough beat them. And I think the one other guy they need to pay attention to on this time, and then on the outside is Ellington.
They jump out on Douglas. He pulls up for the jumper. Still loose. Possession arrow will belong to Carolina.
The hell ball alternating possession to North Carolina.
Checking for blood. Ellington checking for the bottom. And everybody watching the clock. It's all threes. 3:33 to play. Well, the tournament this year has certainly lived up to its billing. And if you want to see highlights of today's game, check out the Haviland ACC Basketball highlights now online. And this week you can view action from all the ACC basketball telecasts on Raycom and other archive video. Just log on to raycomsports.com or the ACC.com for these clips and a whole lot more around the ACC and what a tournament this has been and continues to be. Coming up next, second semifinal game between the Maryland Terrapins, which advanced with the upset win over Wake Forest, and the Duke Blue Devils.
Certainly no love lost between those two programs.
You're right. So can you move over?
Yes, absolutely.
Mike Jaminski, one of the all-time great Duke players, and if I'm not mistaken, still holds the record for the youngest Duke player.
Might have been. I don't know about that one.
Just go with the flow.
Okay.
I gave you the record.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, here we've got 3:30 left to play, and it's 66-65 Florida State. The #1 team in the nation has trailed most of the second half. Ellington for 3.
They just have it's Olive in back and Etchefu in the front of Tyler Hansbrough, and it is going to be very difficult to deliver the ball to the low post.
Kitchen almost lost it. Douglas. Shot clock at 15. Whoa, dangerous pass. Almost picked off by Ellington. Singleton beyond the arc. Bottoms.
Yeah, there's no question about that one, and a good swing of the ball, but I think North Carolina will take their chances with Singleton knocking down that shot, but he's responded. Only 40% from the field and 30% from behind the arc.
2.5 minutes to play. Hansbrough has it knocked. Gets it back up to Frazier. Where's Ellington? He's had the hot hand. There he is. Splits the defenders, fires. Yes, sir. Timeout, Carolina.
He has come up big, and he has had to do so much off of the dribble. Normally, he plays off of Lawson, but he has found his own offense today.
2:14 to play. Still a 2-point game.
take a look at two very good offensive possessions. The near steal that time by Ellington and the good swing of the ball. Singleton well behind the three-point line. He knocks it down, and Roy Williams knows his team can't run up the floor as quickly as it normally does without Ty Lawson, but this is great execution. The throw-through dribble by Ellington on splitting the screen and then stepping back to create some space. He has done so much on his own in this game.
Stars are stepping up this point of the ball game, and rather than feel the pressure, they're thriving on it. Game reset looks like this. The Seminoles and Tar Heels each have one timeout left, full. Each have 2 30s. You see the Seminoles are already over the limit, so the Tar Heels will be going to the line to shoot 2.
Well, they're going to have to rely, if Florida State is going to hang on and win this game, Tony Douglas is going to have to come up big, validate that first team All-ACC selection here.
Turnover and the foul. The foul is on Singleton. And that's it. Disqualification. 5 personals. He now will take a seat.
Well, and here's the play, and it just really not a great pass, but and it looked like he was trying to get out of the way, but his momentum carried him into Danny Green. And in the grand scheme of things, I mean, Singleton is not a huge part of the offense, Tim, but within the framework of this game, he's hit 2 big shots down the stretch and was seeing a big basket. 7 points for him. We're going to go back to Dulkes.
Well, Dulkes will give you that long-range shot, but certainly you lose size.
You lose that defensive presence out on the perimeter. But I've liked with Kitchen, Dulkes, and Tony Douglas. That's a nice 3-guard rotation to play around the bigs.
This is time for Tony Douglas to step up. Certainly he has this afternoon, as Ellington has for the Tar Heels. Green's first one is good.
That takes a lot, because it has been a nightmare shooting performance at the tournament so far for Danny Green. These are 2 huge free throws.
And he makes them both. And Carolina.
Yeah, that's a good job by Green. 83%. He put that other negative stuff behind him and knocked down 2 clutch free throws.
6th tie of the game. Douglas, stop, pop, draws iron. The crowd can feel the urgency. Everybody on their feet. Davis, Frazier, 15 on the clock.
And Olive is just, he's not even guarding Davis. He's just patrolling the lane inside. Now he's forced to come up.
6 on the shot clock. Ellington from beyond the arc. Hansbrough with a rebound. New shot clock.
Yep, good idea. Good idea by Hansbrough to recycle the play.
65 seconds left. And the foul will be on Douglas.
I mentioned that fact, and that was the one thing, again, what the Carolina coaches really wary of. Douglas's ball pressure on Frazier nearly came up with the pick here. You see the poke away from the backside, and Frazier just gains control, and by going out getting the ball, draws the foul. Good call.
So Bobby Frazier, the 6'3" senior from Blue Island, Illinois, Brother Rice High School at the line.
Only 7 free throw attempts on the year coming into the tournament.
And he misses it. He's now 1 for 3 this afternoon. Trying to give Carolina the lead. And he does.
Yeah, let's see if Tony Douglas can make a big-time shot down the stretch.
58.2 seconds left, and Florida State takes a timeout. Well, Florida State made a run against number 5 North Carolina in Tallahassee in late January. Let me take you back to January 28th. The Seminoles came back from a 13-point deficit. Had a chance to win it in the final seconds. Couldn't get off a shot. The Tar Heels had 3.2 seconds to get down court, and that's exactly what Ty Lawson did at the buzzer. coast to coast, hit the three, 80-77. Carolina beat Florida State by 3. Ty Lawson is sitting back watching this one, out with the injured toe. And with 58.2 seconds left, Mike, here's your reset.
Well, and it's interesting to think back to yesterday that the Seminoles turned to Kitchen to make that big play down the stretch. He had the game winner.
Which I think surprised everybody. He got the baseline and up and under. That's what you lost with Ty Lawson and what he had in that first game. And Tony Douglas, well, what a performance he's had here in this tournament and down the stretch of the regular season.
Tony Douglas time needs to be.
Coming up next, the Maryland Terrapins and the Duke Blue Devils. And I know they're sitting back there watching this one as they prepare. They've got big screens in the lock everywhere in this building.
And that's what, you know, we just saw a shot of Hansbrough, and he made 2 huge defensive plays in the last minute in that win. Let's see here, he's got to be careful though, playing with 4 fouls.
Tony Douglas, 6 of 9 here in the second half. 55 seconds left. Douglas was open with the backdoor cut, and they didn't see him. And the foul, they call it on Davis?
Yeah, they call it on Davis. A little late on that hedge, and again, Douglas using his speed to draw the foul coming off of the screen. You didn't think he was going to be in complete agreement with that call, did you?
So now Tony Douglas will go to the line. He's an 81% free throw shooter. He's been fired up here to play in this tournament. His brother Harry plays here for the Atlanta Falcons, a wide receiver, and is here today watching. His brother buries the first one. We're tied at 70. How about that, Harry?
Yeah, big time. And they'll have about 11 seconds to come back. All they need to do is make a stop here.
You see the clock at the bottom of the screen. Shot clock at 22. Boy, Green had a notion, tried to pull up.
I don't think the way he's shooting.
Hansbrough. Ball's loose. Seminoles have it.
Got to foul quickly.
Shot clock is off. And the foul, they fouled Kitchen. I don't think Leonard Hamilton wanted Douglas to give it up. They wanted him at the line. Instead, Kitchen goes. So instead of an 81%, you put a 68% free throw shooter.
And again, you see the swarm of bodies around Tyler Hansbrough. Just lost control of it. It has been tough sledding for him in the paint all game long. Kitchen 68% from the line.
What a journey this has been for Derwin Kitchen. Originally agreed to play at Florida, went to junior college, and after a long journey, he's finally playing at Florida State. 1-1 situation for Kitchen.
Maybe have an opportunity to win his second game in a row in the ACC tournament.
This will make it a 3-point game if he gets this one. Carolina needs a 3 with 15.7 seconds left.
Ellington and Green are your 3-point shooters.
Everybody in the Georgia Dome on their feet. 8 seconds. 5 seconds. Ellington's 3. Green for 3. Florida State wins it. The Seminoles are going to the championship game.
Couple of big-time defensive stops down the stretch for Florida State. And then a couple of clutch free throws by Derwin Kitchen. This is the only difference between this game and the game in Tallahassee, Tim. They finished this one off.
A very gracious Roy Williams shakes hands and has a word for all the Seminoles. Here it is again.
Here's a look, and that was just a very, very tough 3 to knock down, and then Danny Green, the last desperation shot. And in the half court, and that was kind of the story of the day for North Carolina, just a difficult time without their point guard manufacturing offense. 20 points below their season average, Tim.
So the #1 team in the nation goes down. Boston College got him, Wake Forest got him, Maryland got him, and now Florida State got him. Let's go over to Scott.
Wow, Coach, what can you say about your team's stop down here in the final possession?
Well, we've been kind of hitting and missing all game. North Carolina's a great basketball team, but in the final analysis, we got the stops we had to get. We hit the free throws down the stretch, and that made a big difference.
Talk about the way your team just kept fighting and making plays, which you're talking about right
I
here.
can't say enough about Tony Douglas. He just willed us to this victory. But the other guys played good defense. We got the rebounds we had to. They're a good shooting team. We contested by as well as we could. They kept knocking them down. But at the end, I think we got some good stops we needed.
And Kitchen, game winner yesterday, and here makes the 2 big free throws again.
Well, no doubt about that. He was a cool customer today, and well, I'm happy for our team. We stayed focused and stayed determined. Now we got to enjoy this a little bit because whoever we play the next night is going to be another tough game.
Go enjoy, Coach.
Thank you.
Okay, Tim, back over to you.
Leonard Hamilton, the ACC Coach of the Year, and now you can see why. The last 4 points for the Seminoles came at the free throw line. Douglas hit 2, Kitchen hit 2, and let the celebration begin because the Florida State Seminoles are going to the ACC championship game. Their record goes to 25-8. Mike Hogwood on the other side.
ACC basketball has been brought to you by Ford, by Food Lion, by Chick-fil-A, by Pepsi, by Geico, by Verizon Wireless, and by Budweiser.
For the first time, the Florida State Seminoles are in the championship game in the ACC tournament, having beaten North Carolina 73-70. It was a group that just would not quit, would not give up. They fought hard the whole game long. North Carolina tried valiantly, but it was obvious that they were missing something without their point guard, Ty Lawson. Well, the point guard for Florida State came up with a pretty good effort. Tony Douglas, 27 points. Scott Przwanski caught up with him just a moment ago.
What was going through your mind after you won?
Oh, man, we played so hard, and we played all so together for 40 minutes, and all our hard work's paying off now. North Carolina, they're a good team. They're the #1 team in the country, and we played hard. We had nothing to lose, and we came out with a fault today.
You know, for yourself, Carolina makes a couple runs, they tie it, get within 2, and each time you made a big shot.
Yeah, my teammates always say it's Tony Douglas time, TDT, so I knew I had to take over and get whatever defense gave me, I took.
Now, at the end of the game, Carolina needs a 3. What were you guys trying to do out on the perimeter?
Make sure we contest their shot. We know that they're going to get it off. I had to make sure that Wayne Ellington don't get a good look at it, so and he was looking for it, so we just played good defense.
Go enjoy this one. You're in the finals tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Back over to you guys.
All right, thank you, Scott, and that is our Red Lobster nothing but net shot of the game. It was a huge play. Just saw it a moment ago. Tony Douglas for 3. Our Red Lobster nothing but net shot of the game. Chris Singleton hitting the shot there for the Florida State Seminoles. 73-70 is our final score, and we'll be back with more in just a moment.